Thank you. So we talk about the uncertainty. Now we will talk about the walking uncertainty. But we also have another one in Turkey and from Turkey, actually. So uncertainty is a lifetime for us. So who we are, this one is on the right hand side, Pelin from Yeni University. We are working together on academic papers, and this one is Bloomberg Turkey, and she is making some programs there, and we are making some programs. We also talk and discuss about these issues, Turkey, because we cannot talk about. So when I was first talking about true loans of my life, it was on 2019, and my daughter was born on that day, and she also born on me. And I was saying the true loans of my life because I mean in those days Trump was very active in Twitter, and he was always doing that. I will ruin your economy. I will do this, that. I will do this to Turkey. And some days he was friends with Erdogan. He was saying that we are friends, and then he was again ruining our economy and so on. So we had made a paper on this. What is the impact of tweets of Trump on the economy, especially on the steel industry at those days? And we call this like black noise. You know, the white noise in the econometrics, and we call him as black noise. The impact of things. So now he came back again, second time, and now he's doing this uncertainty in other way. So we wanted to test again what's the impact of the economy, the global economy, and to the markets. This time we took it for the broader range, like Fukuyama's end of history. It's like to flavor the paper a little bit more, and just to teach people about the idea, because according to Fukuyama, after the Cold War, and it should end up at some point, and all with the globalization, world would be a global village, and that's something. But after the Navarro economics and the second, especially I think in the first round he was also doing this, Trump's era, his third election, he was trying to somehow departure or separate the global economy. But like now, not a global village, but it was like some regional alliances and so on. Of course, there's a logic. The thing is, AI is really working well. I wouldn't imagine Fukuyama and Navarro making some boxing match like this. But now the idea is collecting like with the Navarro economies and with the MAGA economies, it is now like making more regional alliances. So how to do this is one instrument, as we see, is the tariffs, negotiating with the tariffs and somehow trying to push other countries to accept what they want. I mean, this is not only for the US, this is relevant for all the strong countries. What we see now is China, US, maybe some EU and emerging economies, how they will be affected by this. This is more macroeconomic and broader range philosophy, but the impact on the financial markets is really different. I mean, it is like making manipulation, not speculation, even making manipulation in the international market. So with this idea, I mean, these tax cut deregulation, trade protection policies, energy infrastructure, all these things are the macroeconomic side and the fundamentals of this approach. But to somehow use the time more efficient, I will skip this function. I just wanted to understand the data and just to focus on the results of the econometric model. So here we use It will be certain 2-year US bonds, S&P 500 index, brand oils, and the just to look at how these tariff negotiations or the how to say the negotiation news impact the financial market or different asset markets, let's say, not only the financial markets. Okay. We return a pretty simple return formula here. And at the end of the day, you can see that in the daily returns of financial markets, there are some spikes, especially here, here, and here, where I mean those negotiations are more embodied on some, and some rates are explained in the market, like 25%, 50%, or 40%, whatever. And when you look at the calculations are elevated, let's say, roughly. Okay. So bond markets, oil markets, I mean the least here impacted part is the Chinese markets because they are somehow not the losers, not the winners, but the ones who doesn't take this play. And they don't play the game as Trump wants. Because they have production, they have financial markets, they're stronger where they have started. And most of the logic starts here. The train is locked already, it's gone, but somehow they are trying to catch. So we have a very pretty simple VAR model here, vector correlated, and the endogenous variables are the asset markets, and we have a dummy variable as an external exogenous variable, and it is based on the tariff explanations calendar. If on that day there is a tariff explanation, it gets the value 1. If no explanation, it gets the value 0. Of course, never limited time period because the data is from the beginning of 2024 and to April 2025, I think, to the where we started to do the article. So these are the basic equations. So maybe you may ask why we didn't use tweets because you would get more information or more explanations about. Because we already had this in 2019. The reason is Trump is not using Twitter as much as he did in the first place. So even JP Morgan had created some tweet index at those days. But now he's not active on that. So we don't use tweets. First term, second term, and there are some statistical data here. How much you use tweets and how much you doesn't use in the second term. So we use this tariff events from 2024 November to April 2025. And all these days is 1 is a non-variable value and 0 as there is no important explanation about the tariffs. So what we see is as the result of the model. This one is bonds market, this one is Chinese financial markets, and this one is the oil prices. And you can see that their lag values are much more persistent, which means that they have their own dynamics. But when you look at the S&P 500, you can see that the oil price and the bond markets have some more impact on it, which means S&P 500 is much more impact. My phone, please. Or your phone. And for the short term, if you look at impulse response analysis, you will see seeing it from here is easier. Like values and for example, this one are the responses of the, for example, oil price, Shenzhen index to Shenzhen index, but the others are in the short term somehow consumed by the market, by the asset. And if you look at not with a vector correction model, but an RDL model, ARDL model for the midterm or long term, you can see that this bell shape belongs to S&P 500 from month 1 to month 4, which is the period of tariff negotiation, which says that this model is not working correctly. There's a problem there. With these asset prices and the tariff gambling, we cannot control the S&P 500, and we can see that it is deteriorating more compared with the other asset prices. For the Chinese financial market Shenzhen index, we don't see this. Maybe in the first month, where it was the hot topic, I will do this, I will do that to China and everything. But more or less, it is between the boundaries, which means that the model is working correctly. And for bonds market and for oil price market, we see the same thing, which we can say that S&P 500 is much more affected in this tariff negotiation period, which somehow guides us that this is more than speculation. Because most of the S&P 500 market is driven by 7 companies, as you know, the Magnificent 7. And those tariff negotiations and tariff news impact those tech companies very much because of the supply chain and all other customer-based stuff. And this war between China and US much more dependent on the tech wars, AI wars, and some other economic things. So on the financial market side, we can see even the impact of now changing from a global economy to regionally aligned economies and their impact on the financial markets, which shouldn't be underestimated because all these negotiations, all these news has their reflection on the numbers. And you either lose money or earn money in the market. So I think time is up.
Can I take a few questions?
Sure.